You know we're trying to build this community in 2018, so if you like what I do here, go ahead and subscribe and click that bell, and I'll keep dropping these vids just for you. Hey guys, Nathyn Brandon Masters. If you want to support the channel, check out my website, nightphoenixpress.com. You can find digital and physical copies of my books, role-playing games, and even drawing paper. The money helps support me as well as fund new content, so go check out my site. Alright guys, so this one is going to be very interesting, okay? So I actually did my first page for a comic book using the new style, new coloring techniques, things like that, just to see what it would look like. It's a lot of mixed media there. We've got ink wash, we've got color pencils, Tombow Brush pens, the whole 9 yards, and we're just going to check that out. Before we get into that, I want to show you yesterday's artwork, which is another page. This is actually a page I believe I showed you in my older art, and I just did a little updating on it. A little bit of ink wash and some color thrown in there. Might use it for something. Who knows? But let's get into today's art. I'm going to take you through it, but here's the thing, okay? I'm going to do this sped up. Now, if I get, let's just say 100 likes on this, if I get 100 likes on this, I will do the full-length version of this. It's an hour, I think over an hour at normal speed. And you can see me go through it and do all the stuff exactly as I did it. So go ahead and hit the like button. And I know there's some people who are watching these videos and like these videos, so say a little something in the comment section so that it'll help these videos kind of move up in the YouTube ranking. Let YouTube know that you do like and want to see more of this kind of content, and it lets me know that you like and want to see more of this kind of content as well. So we're going to get in here. This is Zombie Girl. If you've seen the Epitaph Bread and Salt movie or read the comic book or even the Victor Locke Demon Hunter comic, you're familiar with Zombie Girl. Zombie Girl has her own one-shot, Zombie Girl Ravenous. All of these books are on sale at nightphoenixpress.com. You could check those out. As a matter of fact, Zombie Girl Ravenous issue 1 and Victor Locke Demon Hunter are both on sale for free as digital downloads, so you can check those out. And of course, these are for, as I like to say, the older kids. But on to the art. This page was a lot to tackle. I inked the whole page with a brush. So I did, most of this is brush. One of the things I really wanted to get down was the face. I always mess up on the face when drawing at this size. So I went in with a 0.8 and 0.5, I think a 0.3 or it may have been a 0.005. But I went in very tiny for the facial features. I was always messing up the facial features, so I was very, I specifically wanted to get it right this time. So I did everything I could to make sure I got that right. Everything else I inked with the brush pen. So you saw me working with the brush pen a lot in my sketchbook, and that was me really trying to get it down. And this isn't my first attempt at this drawing, by the way. I've tried to do this multiple times until I finally got it, finally got it right. And then I went in with the brush pen, and actually I did it better than I did the first few times. I'm actually a little shocked at how well it came out. So this was very pleasing to me, and this is actually going to be a page in one of the books. Now the thing is with this book, this is being drawn on panel pages, like the remains of the panel pages, and I cut a few more pages down to that size just so it could be consistent. So This is actually going to be a normal size comic. It's not going to be a manga size comic. It's going to be normal size. And that's going to be interesting because it's not going to be shrunk down very small. The size of a normal comic is not very far off from the actual size of panel pages. So, you know, it's a few inches off, but not by much. So you guys know I talked about the fact that I'm not very good with digital coloring. So all of this is actually going to be colored by hand. So this is kind of my process of doing that. And like I talked about on another video, I did a video for the Breakfast Club channel. And I talked about the fact that I want to become self-sufficient with comic books, meaning I want to be able to do everything. So until I get to a point where it becomes financially viable for me to pay people to do, to do this work and actually pay people well. I mean, currently people who have helped me out, they did so because they wanted to get credit in the book, and I did pay them a little something, but it wasn't anything all that great. So I do want to get to a point where I can pay people a nice, a nice piece of change for doing good work. But until then, I want to be able to do the work myself and knock it out. So I'm kind of creating a way for me to color a book in kind of my own style and everything that will accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish, as well as up the value of my original art. So if you know anything about original art, you know that you can sell it at conventions and things like that, but it has to be worth, it has to be worth something. You have to either be someone famous or, someone who people really want your art. Now with me, one of the big issues with my original art, and if you have good original art, you can sell it if people like what you're selling. But one of the issues with me is none of my original art has backgrounds to it. And that is because I rarely do backgrounds as far as directly onto the page. The backgrounds are usually done in the computer. And so it's a little bit harder to sell anything except some of the portrait work. Like where there's a character standing on a page, particularly a smaller page, and maybe I go in later on and kind of add some, some rough backgrounds to it. And then maybe I can get $10 or $20 for a page if it's really, really nice and someone really likes the artwork, or they're actually familiar with the characters, or they just like the characters and they just want to get everything that comes with the set. See, the cool things about comic book conventions is that people can flip through your book and you can kind of tell them about the story. If they like what they see and hear, many times they'll buy multiple issues of the book to kind of get the story and everything, and they'll buy other things like posters and things like that. So I do enjoy the comic book conventions and things, and if you have a really nice piece of artwork that they want, they'll buy that too, provided it's not too expensive. Alright guys, so this is when I get into the wash, and what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to start out with some of the acrylic white, and I'm going to mix that with the ink wash to do the tombstones. That gives the tombstones kind of a stone look, is a stone look and feel. It separates them from the actual dirt and everything like that. So that's what I'm going to start out doing. And this gets, and another thing, if you notice when I first drew this page, off to the left, you saw the tombstone over there. That tombstone I had drawn, I just drew that over the other art, and that's why, because I knew I was going to go in and I was going to go in with the acrylic and go over that. So I'm going to do the wash on the ground here. And what I start doing is just kind of laying down like the basic color for the ground. And so I'm going to do kind of a variation depending on where the light is. So the closer it gets to what would be the camera, if this were a film, the lighter the ground will get. And so Now, because of the way I drew this in the direction of the light, I can't really do what I wanted to do, which was kind of put the moon behind her, because then that would mean the light would be coming from behind. So, we'll do something with that. But after I do the ground, I'm going to go in and do the sky and everything, and I'll talk about that actually on camera, because I talked about it a little bit as I did it. So the ink, as you can see, gets darker in the back, and I really kind of took my time on this because I didn't want to mess this up. When I actually started this, or actually I did this the first time, this was just a panel. So this was just going to be a panel in a page, and I said, you could open the book with something like this. Just open the book with this dynamic splash page that kind of lets you feel what the book is going to be, what's going to be like, what the art is going to be like. This would be a big departure from the other Epitaph books, which are drawn in kind of a standard. I don't even know if you would call it a standard comic book style. Like I said, my style is kind of loose and almost kind of cartoony. It's not really what you would find in I don't know, I guess in some comic books you would probably find a similar style, but this would be a big departure from how those other books look and feel. This is actually kind of darker, and the style is obviously it's hand drawn or hand colored, so very different from the computer coloring and stuff that the other books have. All right, guys, so in this upcoming segment, I'm going to be talking while I do this, so it's going to play at normal speed. Okay, guys, I'm back, and as you can see, I went over this jacket a little bit more to blend it a little bit better, and I'm not going to do anything with this. I'm just going to let that stay like that. Like I said, I want to not have to do anything too much with this in post, and I also want to let this dry a little bit before I actually did anything else with it. So this is what you're going to see here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put in some sky. I have a old rag here. I think this is like an old, like one of those old, those fluffy sock shoe kind of things. I think that's what this is. We're going to put some sky in here. Now, I tried this last night with a piece, and I messed up. So we're going to try to get it right, because I really like this piece, and I really like how this is all set up. So I'm going to put my hand right here. It's dry, right? Yes, dry art. Okay, so we're going to go in. I already have a little bit on here. Now, I'm going to speed the process back up, but this is kind of where I went wrong last time. So I went wrong because I had a small brush I was trying to use to do this, and everybody I've ever seen do this did this with a big brush, which I didn't have. So I had to kind of look at how they were doing it and figure something out. Now, what I'm going to do is go back in. Oh, by the way, got these in the mail today. You guys know what this is. That's that deleter. Boom. We're going to look at that tomorrow. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to test to see if dipping this in ink will do anything for me. Okay, and this is where I had to be really careful because I messed up on this before, and I had a really nice piece that I just really it was bad. I felt really bad tossing that piece, but in hindsight, after this, I'm not feeling so bad about it because this turned out really, really nice. And what I'm doing here is I'm going in with the acrylic white and the ink, and I'm mixing it together for various parts of the drawing. going back over, like getting into those really small areas with the wash and trying to kind of pull them all together. And this just, pulling this off just kind of made me go like, yeah, this is kind of the style that I want. This is the thing that I want this book to look like. And I don't know, this reminds me of some of the older 90s indie comics where people were doing things like this. People were doing wash, and people were doing just some really phenomenal work that, it wasn't mainstream stuff. Well, I guess you had people who did paint. Obviously, you had people like Alex Ross who did a ton of amazing work, but you had people doing a lot of amazing work on the indie scene. The first person that comes to mind is Joseph Michael Linsner, who was doing Cry for Dawn, but later he did a series called Dawn, where Dawn was the lead character. So that was some really amazing artwork in that. But this was something I just really decided that I want to try to see what it would be like. And here I'm going to go in and actually darken the lines on the trees and stuff like that. Make another tree on the side over here because I want to have some trees in the foreground and some in the background. And I didn't have any trees in the foreground, so there you go. And this is it, guys. This is what it looks like. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Nathyn Brandon Masters. And don't forget, 100 likes gets the full-length version of this. I think I'll set it to music or something like that. You guys take it easy. Hasta.
Don't look back, we're here to stay. A life we knew would come one day. And this is it, the borderline to where the future leaves us behind.